women's rights, they discovered the children's rights. Those aberrations were taking place there all the time. That patriarchal society in Afghanistan and parts of Pakistan have been there since centuries. No one ever bothered about it. Rather, we were out to preserve the Kafiristan culture in Upper Chitral, so we can preserve their being Kafirs. In Nuristan, we were there out there, and the UNESCO were invited so that those Nuristanis who converted just 50 years ago or 60 years ago, that their religion should be preserved. Their way of life should be preserved. So here we are talking about something where we are living, grappling with the people living somewhere in the 19th century. But we want to apply 21st century solutions. There's a big gap. There's a communication gap. The 19th century people, whether in Afghanistan and our tribal areas, they cannot leapfrog to 21st century. It is the people who live in the 21st century who can evolve a common medium and have a dialogue. And that's how precisely what has to be done. So, yes, we can criticize government policies, but at the end of the day, what choices do we have? It's very easy. Being out of government, one can talk about very liberally that what is available. But when given the means you have in the government and those factors which are not under your control, what kind of policies you are supposed to make? But we have to turn the table. Swat, Malakand, South Waziristan, those who were, and there were statements that the Taliban are just 60 miles away from Islamabad. Taliban are a mortal threat to Pakistan. What happened to that? But if you compare it in Afghanistan for the last 9 years, what has happened there? What big changes have been brought about? But when you see it in Pakistan, this has been done. More importantly, institutions in Pakistan are working. Let me tell you, yes, there is a terrorist attack, so if someone is injured, hospitals are available. Before ambulances reach there, the people themselves, they take those injured to the hospital. People make a beeline donating their blood. So there is a resilience in the society. Many countries don't have population. We had 2.5 million internally displaced people from Swat and Malakand last year. 95% were housed by the people themselves, not the government. And all of them have gone back to their countries, their towns and villages. Where on earth has happened this? This is only because of the resilience of the people and the culture we have. Whether it's Pashtun culture or the Pakistani culture we have. Then our forces, they have done wonders. Reason being that now the whole country, the political forces of all the different spectrum, they are united to defeat this Taliban phenomenon. And we are succeeding. We are succeeding. Yes, there will be certain incompetences. Yes, there will be certain problems. But that does not mean that we will not succeed. The problem, my confidence is because we have turned the table against the Taliban phenomenon. Now there is hardly a voice which supports this Taliban. I would be too happy to be contested on that. No one can challenge, no one can say a word in praise of the Taliban, which was earlier the case. There were radio stations. Where are those radio stations? Those have been tried. And now the same policy, dialogue, development and deterrence, was approved by the London conference here this year. Now the same thing, the reason being that if you do not adopt that policy 3Ds, dialogue, development and deterrence in that order, you are not going to succeed. The reason being, during the past 9 years, use of military as a first option in Afghanistan has not delivered. Another 9 years would pass, it would not deliver. But yes, if you give hope to the people, if you are there, you are not there for picnic. If you are in Afghanistan, you are not there for picnic. You are there to restore the law and order. More than that. we have to make certain distinctions also. The pretext in Afghanistan was Al-Qaeda. But Al-Qaeda, we have to look, its raison d'etre, its reason why Al-Qaeda came into being. Its causes are somewhere in the Middle East. Unless you address those causes, as Mr. Sarwar MP has just pointed out, unless you address the causes which are in the Middle East, and at the moment we see little appetite in addressing those causes, you cannot wish away Al-Qaeda, you cannot defeat Al-Qaeda. But once you address the Middle East, you can make Al-Qaeda irrelevant. But about Taliban, they are a local menace, and that can be dealt locally by the people themselves. And they have the tools. Afghan society itself, and among the Pashtuns particularly, the jirga system is such a strong system that there, whether you are a mullah or whether you are whosoever you are, you have an equal voice, and they can resolve their problems. It's not that the problem cannot be resolved. And in a Pashtun jirga system, being Pashtun myself, they always keep the doors for dialogue open. Because under this jirga system, when they fight, two tribes fight, they cannot go on. There are certain tribes who have been fighting for years and decades. But at the same time, there are well-wishers who come and who mediate. Sometimes they do face-to-face, sometimes through the mediation of the third tribe or fourth tribe, or a conglomeration of other tribes. So here we are succeeding, provided we have our priorities correct. In my view, the way ahead is that you address the Middle East problem, you make Al-Qaeda irrelevant, you tackle Afghanistan, leave it to the Afghans. Leave it to the Afghans, and neighbors should give guarantee of neutrality, and Afghanistan should give the guarantee of neutrality. And leave the Afghans, facilitate, the world should, this free world should facilitate the problem, facilitate Afghanistan to resolve its problem. Leave them, closet them into a jirga tent, which they have established in Kabul, and I'll tell them that you will not come out unless you resolve your problem. It is resolvable, and I think steps are being taken. This is not the forum where I should be sharing, but things are looking up, provided all the actors, all the players, they play their cards deftly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Durrani.